Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Experience, live with Russ and Scott.
Welcome to The Experience, live with Russ and Scott.
Join us every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Special thanks to our sponsors of The Experience Live with Russ and Scott, Realistic Replicas by Brian. For more information, go to realistic.replicas.com. And the Aging Better Network with Christine Smith. For more information, go to agingbetternetwork.com. And now your host, Russ and Scott. And here we are. Woohoo!
I love that you introduce us.
Hey, I'm having fun. Make a little change. There we are. We're introduced officially, and we're so glad to be here. Scott, always awesome to be here with you.
That's right. It's fun. Fun to be with me. Hey,
we're having fun. It's a fun morning.
Yeah, check your microphone. Make sure we've got the right one. And
thank you.
I put into the comments last week. There was an episode with of the Chiseled podcast. That's Rob Komodari, and that episode, my episode with him, released. So I'm on Chiseled podcast. I put that in the comments, and we talk about a book
Awesome.
that's coming out soon. Called Reluctant Time Traveler, Why We Are Notoriously Dissatisfied. And so that book's coming out, but I did release another book recently, Networking for Students, just in time for parents and teachers and grandparents to buy it for those students who are graduating. And another podcast just released this week with Nick Urison, and that's the Amazon Legends podcast. So he and I are there, and we talk about one of our accounts that got hacked, and they set the daily limit on one of the ads to $30,000 a day, and directed it to their own website, and all the merry mix-ups that happen. So anyway.
Oh my goodness, that sounds horrible, horrifying.
So anyway, that's Nick is a fabulous guy. We just have so much fun. And
Nick's great.
Yeah. So anyway,
Nick was
two podcasts and a book.
There you go. Can you hear me better now? Is my mic better?
Yes, much better. Sounds more like Russ.
Gotta make sure. There you go. Hey, Nick's a great guy. I've been on one of my live streams before. Great guy, and so many great things going on. So also, for those that don't know, I have 2 collaborative books coming out here this month. And the first one is Perspectives on Cancer, Volume 2 with Mr. Tim Sohn. That's set to release on the 25th. Paperback version first, and then the ebook version after that. And then also Beyond Measures with CJ, Constance Leland, and also Susanna Dawn, and just a great group. They're working. Been blessed to be part of that. And because of all that, I got involved with my good friend Mike Ashbrenner and the Hounds, and so joined that group recently. That's been a ton of fun. Lots of great things going on, and it led to I forgot in the last couple of weeks I've been on a few live streams as well, and losing track, but having so much fun with people. Just love this whole video thing, right?
Yeah, and this Friday is the Global Tea Break.
Yes,
with Alan Hennessy and our guest Mary Kate Johnson, MKJ. And she was into the whole bots and chat bots many years ago. I met her down in San Diego at Social Media Marketing World. She's going to be our special guest teacher this week. So globaltbreak.com. People will definitely want to join in on that.
Yes,
So good
definitely.
stuff.
Well, yeah, totally. And I'm telling you, anybody who is not part of the Global Tea Break is missing out, because what an amazing group of people. Somebody asked
Mhm.
me, does that really benefit you? Oh my goodness.
Mm.
Yes. I mean, the first international networking group I got involved with because of my friend, Mr. D. Scott Smith over there. And that always throws me off. I always got to point the opposite away from you.
Get
Anyway.
the right way. Hey, I
So
did it first
anyway,
time. Yeah.
yes. Anyway, so glad to be part of that. But right now, speaking of amazing people, we got
Mhm.
two amazing guests that are coming in. I want to remind you first, before we jump to them, everybody, that we are here every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. For your listening and viewing pleasure, we are. Yes, we are. And we would love for you to subscribe on YouTube to our YouTube page. And how do you do that? Well, you just go to the experience.video. The experience.video will take you directly to our YouTube page. In fact, you can open a separate tab right now and subscribe today. We're trying to grow that page and get rolling with that. We'd appreciate if you do that. And we just appreciate also if you share this out, because you can share this and tag your friends right now, whether you're watching live or in replay, it doesn't matter. You can still share this out, and we would love for you to do that. And with that, let's start bringing the guests in. What do you think?
Yeah, speaking of books, we've got some great expertise coming in today.
There you go. Well, why don't we bring in Mr. Paul Edwards, Mr. Publishing Man, Mr. Ghostwriter. Here he comes. Hey, Paul.
Greetings, gentlemen.
Good to see you.
How are you doing this morning, Paul?
Oh, I'm in sunny Arizona in March. Not to rub it in on you Pacific Northwest dwellers, but
Yeah, because you were in Washington State, right there in the heart of the Rain Belt,
mhm.
and you guys migrated just about a year ago.
Yeah, we're getting close to it now. It
Yeah.
was May of last year that we left and bought a house down here, and so every day is like waking up on vacation for me. So I'm just dandy.
There you go. Isn't that nice? Well, listen, speaking of amazing things and books. Oh, wait, we weren't talking about that. But back to amazing things and books. Paul, give us a little insight. Who is Paul Edwards and what are you up to?
Yeah, I'm the founder and CEO of Emissary Publishing in partnership with my partner in crime, Jason Todd. He couldn't be here today, but we help faith-based founders, executives, and entrepreneurs tell the stories that matter, usually in the form of a published book that sometimes they need help writing, but a lot of times what they really need help with is the promotion, marketing, publishing, distribution, and all of that. And so we cover end to end on that.
And I think that's amazing because, and Scott, you can talk to this, but so many people really don't know where to start, right, Scott?
Yeah, I think Paul, you can pull the rose therapy. You've got that on the shelf right behind you.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation on Amazon Live with the author. Why don't you give us a little story there, and that'll give people a glimpse into kind of how this all works.
Yeah, it was a fascinating book to put together. Ron Daniels is the author, and he has this amazing journey. He was in the construction industry for 40 years. And during that time, he developed a passion for growing and caring for roses. And a lot of times, when you come across a book like this, it's the For Dummies series or something like that, that simply tells you the how to. And Ron didn't want to do that. He wanted to tell the story of how he got into it, who mentored him, what he learned along the way, what he's turned his passion into, how it keeps him. He's now, I believe, 75 years old. And he stays on a schedule of speaking and meeting people and talking and just interacting with people that keeps him young and vibrant and alive and full of energy, well past a lot of age, the age where a lot of people have simply checked out. And he wanted to offer hope to people, to say, even if it's not roses, find a hobby that you're passionate about and that gives you the opportunity to connect with people. So it was, that became a project in and of itself, putting that together. And then it became, last year when we launched Emissary, it became our very first title. So we're excited about that. And as a matter of fact, this week it's getting a full write-up in the National American Rose Society magazine, which we're excited about as well.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I love what you said there, Paul, because, I love the quote by TD Jakes that says, if you don't know what your purpose is, follow your passion because your passion will lead you to your purpose. And I think doing what you're passionate about, not only does it bring life to you, but it brings life to others because you really just shine through all of that. And so a lot of times people get blocked up though when it comes to writing. And I think that you are so amazing in helping with that. But before we talk more about that, we're going to bring in our next guest, Mr. David Osku, is an amazing friend down in Nashville. Here he comes. Woohoo. Hi, David.
What's up, gentlemen?
Dave?
Well, we're happy because our friend Dave's here. So there you go. So with your cool hats on, I really feel left out, Paul. So anyway, I could use that too. Anyway, David, give us a little insight. Who is David and what are you up to?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me back on the experience here. You guys, what's interesting, of course, is, Scott, I knew you first and then Paul, but then Scott, you introduced me to Russ, and I, really appreciate, all three of you gentlemen. You're men of good character, and you're not quite as funny as I am, but I really do appreciate you. But anyway, thanks for having me. So yeah, I'm David Osk. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, or just outside. And I run a business where I sell thermostat guards with a combination lock and developing a few more products. I do some coaching. Since we're talking about books and so on, I actually had my first book, which was a children's book called Fire and Ice, The Very Scary Noise in the Trunk, published by Taylor and Seal Publishing, a small publisher in Florida. This has probably been maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And so I'm working on a new book called The Guardians of Grit, which I'm pretty excited about, as well as another children's book with a friend of mine. I actually really can't mention that right now, but I just love being creative in whatever capacity. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Scott?
Yeah, I was just thinking, David, we had a great conversation on Amazon Live with Fire and Ice and StatGuard Plus. Yeah. Which is, I just love this because people think, if you got to come up with an invention, it has to be something startling, right? Some amazing technology.
Yeah.
But you spent years as a manager for facilities.
Yeah.
And here you are selling a product that I will say is kind of seems run of the mill, but it's having an impact.
It's honestly, it's one of those, it's kind of funny. I'll just say it this way, in all humility, kind of a pipe dream type situation. The thermostat covers, of course, everybody gets the thermostat wars, right? Whether that's, in your home or your office or whatever else. But one of the pain points, of course, is when you put a thermostat guard on and, now you have to keep up with some little key. And that was always a pain point when I was doing facilities management for a large telecom chain, and we used stat guards everywhere, but nobody could keep up with that little key. So, we just gave them the option of a combination lock. And, as of 3 weeks ago, we're in 3,700 retail stores, and I'm just super thankful. We're in Lowe's and Home Depot, and we just got into the True Value hardware distribution chain. So now I'm making inroads with those, independent owners, and, just meeting a lot of great people, and, hoping to help solve some problems so people can, not send their money to the power company and can, give it to their teams at work or their family on vacation or whatever,
Well, and LinkedIn has been powerful for you in this.
Oh, there's no question about it. I think I have close to 22,000 LinkedIn connections. And what's really interesting about that space is and this is something that's kind of near and dear to my heart, is I want to have an interaction with people, that's authentic, and not just here and use you and try to sell to you and market to you and just spam you with all kinds of stuff. And, of course, everybody is on, a platform, like that to, for kind of altruistic reasons, right? And at the same time, I love that there's a real sense for, I would dare say, 95% of the people on LinkedIn, to have a real authentic, interaction with others. And so I've been, just experimenting, right? How do you grab attention, but do it in a way that treats, the person on the other end like you would want to be treated. And
Yeah.
so it's been really interesting to see the, kind of a progression of that over the last couple of years and some of the connections that I've been able to make. And by the way, a lot of times I'll leave someone a message or a voice memo or something like that, just tee up a quick conversation. But I try to remember to end it with, and by the way, if I can help you in any way, no strings attached, let me know. And I'm totally serious about that. Let me tell you a quick story. I literally said that last week, and guess what? One of the ladies that I connected with, she said, "I'm looking for a new job. Would you proofread my resume?" And I'm like, "Bring it on, of course." So isn't that fascinating how something like that would pop up, and someone would have the courage, as it were, to say, "Hey, I need some help with this," and I'm like, "Bring it on. Let me help you." So that's kind of cool.
I think that shows your true character, David. And I think that's what's so amazing about this whole group, people first and wanting to truly connect and make a difference in lives. And Paul, I think with your writing and now your publishing and your faith really comes into that strong. Scott and I just recently started a new show, The Experience Local, live with Russ and Scott, and it's really based on believers in business. And I know that everybody here falls into that realm, but people are so important, and I think they get overlooked in business, right, Paul?
Yeah, it's it's a it's a broad category, but one simple way I think of it is that any product or service that you're going to deliver, any value that you're going to create, automatically requires another person in order for it to be value in the first place. We weren't created to be uh, a means and an end to in and of ourselves and unto ourselves. We were meant to co-create and collaborate and connect. And the way you do that is by perceiving the way David did with combination locks versus keys, right? He took a look around at his very own circumstances where he was working, and he said, isn't there a way to make this simpler so we're not constantly tripping over ourselves, running around trying to get the key to this little box so we can change the temperature inside the building? Oh, of course there is, right? There's a combination lock, just like you could use a combination lock on your gym locker instead of a key lock. And that's what creates the value. That's what creates the interest. Hey, I'd like to do that too. Oh, we would like that as well. Yeah, us over here, yeah, we have that problem too. And so we're thinking automatically as owners and as producers, what would benefit the people around us? And the more you devote your attention to those things, the more authority you create in yourself, in the way in the way people perceive you. And when they perceive you that way, right, you're taking ownership. Even if you don't own a business, even if you're working for a company, but you take that ownership and that responsibility to solve problems on behalf of both yourself and others, then you're an entrepreneur, whether you know it or not, I like to say.
Right. Yeah.
And Paul, I'll just say you have an advanced understanding of connecting with people, and actually had a podcast, Influencer Networking Secrets.
Yeah, that was a little while back. Yeah, but now, and I have a book about it too. That was forced on me. I was not a natural connector. I was not a natural butterfly extrovert who just, lit up the room. But I had some sort of charisma and energy that people could sense. And particularly when I learned how to do it in service of their interests as opposed to my own. And I was in the perfect environment for that, because my job was to sell insurance. And who wants to talk about insurance? Nobody, right? Who wants to hear one more insurance agent talk about how their company is different from everybody else's? Nobody wants to hear that. But if you got up and talked about things that were universally valuable to everyone as a business person, salesperson, marketer, somebody in charge of business development, promoting a label, et cetera, everybody was interested in that. And so I just started to build sort of a local following off of that. And eventually I said, I really should distill this into a book, because there's a certain 6 or 7 rules that I follow every single day over and over and over that gets me this momentum and keeps my phone ringing, so I don't have to go out and pay for ads or knock on doors.
And you had some questions that you share with people that help break the ice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't like surface level questions over and over and over again. They tend to get old. I also, when I meet someone brand new, there's a very entry level sort of thing, like, what brings you here, and which company are you with, and what business are you in, and that sort of thing. Those are very generic questions. But what I want to find out is, what is the person's story? What's the story behind the face, the eyes that I'm looking into right now? And for me, nobody's got time to hear your entire autobiography, but we do have enough time usually to hear about the past couple weeks, the present moment, and the near future. And so these 3 questions that I've learned get people talking about things that have gone well in the last couple weeks or months, and that question is, what's been going well for you lately? And then I tend to focus on the present, and the present is usually there's some kind of obstacle, challenge, or difficulty in their path, right? And this is where you really want to get out your mental note card, or even write it down maybe. And I say, well, what's not going so well in the moment for you? And people will talk a lot about that. And then I'll finish it up by saying, what are you looking forward to? Which is just to get them back on a positive footing, and to look, to think about things that they're doing in the near future that they're excited about.
Yeah. Well, I think that's amazing, because sometimes it takes a little prodding and some questions to pull out of people, what's really going on. And people, a lot of times, ultimately the good things in life are easy to talk about. Sometimes the challenges can be a little bit harder, right, David? They can be a little bit harder as we move along. And that's why we have good friends like you. Man,
I tell you that I actually made a post today on LinkedIn and other social sites there regarding that. We become like the people we spend the most time with, right? And there's no getting around that. And the reason we know that is because every parent, one of their biggest fears is their kids getting involved with the wrong crowd. So very instinctively, right, we know that is a law like gravity. And what's interesting, though, as adults, we quite often don't see that as something as valuable. We just kind of tend to coast a little bit into things, and maybe I'll do this and maybe I'll do that. And our sense of intentionality around certain laws, right? Maybe we don't know that they're there.Maybe we don't realize it. But even sometimes when we do, we get kind of lax in some areas that have way more of an impact on us than, we might understand. And I tell you, that's one of the wonderful things about my life. I would not be, the person that I am, thinking the thoughts, that I do, swinging for the fence on some really big things in life, if it weren't for the people that I hang out with. And part of that, right, is this idea that, the people that you let into that inner, circle of trust, as it were, from, I forget what movie that is, it's the people that are there need to be the same people, the people that will tell you hard things, will challenge you, will say, hey, you might want to be careful, thinking like this, or trying that, or doing that, or whatever that might be. But those same people, of course, are holding up a mirror. And this is something that I kind of feel like is really near and dear to my personal mission. It's holding up a mirror, and your face is off to the side, pointing at it like, see, look at this. I see this in you. And it's not nice shoes, right? It's not, I like your shirt, dude. It's, I saw you show up yesterday and say something that was near and dear to your heart. And I saw that it took courage to be that man, to be that woman in that space. And by the way, that was good and it landed really well. I think all of you have heard me, say this. My favorite quote here behind me is, Benjamin Disraeli, former PM of England. He says, "The greatest good you can do for another is not to share with him your riches, but to reveal to him his own." And again, we all have zones of competence, from the Big Leap book. But that top 10%, Hendricks talks about the zone of genius. And that's the kind of stuff I'm referring to. What is it that is just, when someone operates in that capacity, it's felt. You remember them by the things that they say with their heart and their wisdom and their intellect. And all three of you, by the way, have had that effect on me. Paul, even as you were talking, you and I have had several conversations, right? We had a longer one because I was on your podcast here a month or so ago. And, it was interesting because I've experienced you one-on-one and then, in a kind of a group format, but then I've read, some of your work as well. And what's so interesting is, we all bring something, really different, right? Unique to the table. Like we've got a fingerprint, a retina scan, a soul print, as it were, something really, really different. And man, when those riches, if you will, start coming out and people start validating and saying those things, especially people that love you, man, life starts to get really good. And you start, believing that the truest things that you would even dare hope about yourself are actually true. And you start operating in that space. Man, that's what, I don't even know who said it. The glory of God is man fully alive. That's what, to me, what fully alive is. It's that top 10% when you operate in that and you don't shy away from being, I guess really the word is vulnerable. You take a stab at being that man that you've always wanted to be. Life gets really good.
Yeah, I love that. You just listening to you talk, David, warms my heart and makes me you are such a heart-centered guy that you both are just so amazing. But the unfortunate part is that I've got to be the responsible host and I've got to say that our time has run out and we need to wrap this thing up today. But we want to hear from both of you with what your golden nugget, what you want everybody to remember from today, and then how do they get in touch with you? And David, we'll just go ahead and start with you.
Again, I think I'll just kind of part it this way. I believe that, you're made of awesome. Scott, you and I know David Ash, or I guess Paul, you do too. He called me one day and he said, "David, you're made of awesome." And truth of the matter is we all are. And especially as image bearers. And if you need help labeling what awesome is in your life, I'm just the man for the job. So reach out to me.
That is so awesome. And they reach out to you where?
My website, davidosk.com, or hello@davidosk.com is my email.
Perfect. And we'll make sure we have that below you as well as in the show notes. And everybody can click on that and go straight to David. And Paul, you're up next.
I have a right back at you for David Osk here, and that is that after that podcast episode where he was on my show, I heard him describe something that he says to his son, which I had never thought to say to mine. I have two 15 and 13-year-old boys at home, so I walked into the kitchen after I was done, and I took the 15-year-old's face in my hands, and he's now 6 feet, right? And he's standing looking at me eye to eye, and I kissed him on the forehead, and I said, "I love you, and I'm glad you're mine." Mm-hmm. And he didn't know what to do to it. He didn't know what to do about that. He couldn't. He was speechless. He couldn't even roll his eyes. So, you get a lot by being around people. I'm learning a whole lot about neuroscience right now, and this is even true chemically and biologically. In other words, when Jim Rohn said that you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around the most, it's not just talking about spiritual energy. It actually has a chemical and biological trace that it leaves in your system the more you hang around the right kind of people. So I'm going to say much the same. The simple refreshment of being among a group of like-minded people who share your values and are marching in the same, on the same mission as you. the quote that I always took away from Wild at Heart Boot Camp was, find like-hearted kings who are on the same mission as you and sign treaties with them. And when you're at war, they're at war. And that's how I've lived my life ever since. But if you want to get in touch with me, if you want to learn a little bit more about what we do at Emissary, you can go to publishwithemissary.com. And I'm most active on Facebook and LinkedIn under the handle Meet Paul Edwards. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome. That is so great. And again, thank you so much, both of you, for being with us today, because you've had so much value to me. And I know that our viewers today, and Scott, I know, would agree, have just been so blessed by having you both here. We're going to send you out here real quick to the green room and say goodbye, but hang tight and we'll catch you on the backside. Thanks, guys.
Full of motivation and inspiration today.
Oh my goodness. I love those guys. They're amazing. I mean, talking with both of them, I was blessed to be on Paul's show, and he's been on my shows. We've talked a couple times recently, and David is just always reaching out. He'll text me and pray for me, and just what amazing men they are. And that's just, I'm blessed to be around them. Just like you, Scott. I'm blessed to be here every Wednesday with you.
Russ, it's just a great time to hang out with you. And I'm glad that now we've started the new show, the Experience Local, where we get to spend another half hour together on Mondays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And then that show is rebroadcast to the audio that evening on KWYL 790 AM right here in the Willamette Valley.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, anybody who's thinking that our local area is not meant for them needs to tune into that show, because it's broadcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, just like this show. Although we broadcast on the Hope 107's Facebook page. But the beautiful thing is we're encouraging people, to think locally and act globally. I heard that phrase a while back, and I love that, because we've got such a global, amazing community, like the Global Tea Break coming up this Friday, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. But we need to remember our local community and not forget, because our local economy and our local community really drives where we live, and supporting those people and not forgetting them and just being online. It can be a challenge. So we've had so much excitement around that show. Really love for you all to join us there. And so thankful for all of you that were here today too. And Scott, I think that every Wednesday morning, I look forward to that probably more than most days, because I get to spend 2 shows with you. Don't forget, everybody, we have the backstage show on Instagram only at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And today we celebrated 2 years
with Shree. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. It was amazing. And she's such a blessing. She's such a blessing to you and I. Plus she makes us look good. So
well, it's been great talking with Paul and David today and getting some inspiration. Plenty of things coming up. Of course, brand new book just out, Networking for Students. So on Amazon, Ingram Spark, it's available out there. And the Global Tea Break coming up on Friday. We've got Ellen Hennessy in the comments, co-founder and co-host of the Global Tea Break. So great stuff coming up. What about you before we sign off?
Yeah, I mean, it's been just a whirlwind, and I'm so blessed. CJ, Dr. Constance Leland, is in the comments as well. And our Beyond Boundaries book is coming out, and super excited about that here. I believe later this month. I haven't got an exact date on that. And then also Perspectives on Cancer with Mr. Tim Sohn. 2 amazing collaborative books will be my 3rd and 4th collaborative books coming out here in the last about 8 months. So I've been so honored and blessed to be part of that, and just thankful for amazing people like that. And again, I'm thankful for you, Scott, and I'm thankful for Alan, who's here today. You already mentioned him, but what an amazing guy that helped you and I get started with this show. Still in the credits for all the help that he did. And he's a great digital mentor, everybody, if you need his help. So, and if you have not been yet to the Global Tea Break, go online, globalteabreak.com, sign up and join us this Friday, and you'll be glad you did. Right, Scott?
Absolutely. I see Clint Kyle say, Willamette Valley, hop country. Absolutely. So I'm here in Independence, Oregon. It is we have the Hop Festival every year. And it's been a big celebration. This town was founded in 1845, named Independence because the start of the Oregon Trail was Independence, Missouri. This is the end of the Oregon Trail. So
Wow.
Anyway, we
That's
better let
amazing.
everyone go, Russ.
Yeah, I know. We could be talking about hops all
going.
day long. Okay, well, with that, listen, everybody, thanks so much for being here. Remember, we're here every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time for your listening and viewing pleasure. This also converts to audio podcasts, and you can listen on your favorite audio platforms. That is iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, whatever works great for you. And don't forget, this sits on the platforms that we broadcast on, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube for infinity and beyond. And you can continue to watch us, share this out to your friends, and we would hope that you would, because we get excited about this show. And with that, have an amazing week, everybody, and enjoy
the experience.
Thanks for tuning in to The Experience live with Russ and Scott. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.